The main threats to commercial shipping and any outside of military vessel on the waters at the moment is the one-way or loitering munition UAS, unmanned aerial system. That is essentially a fire and forget system. So it will be fired up into the sky from various different launch platforms. It will either hover around the target or do a direct attack onto the ship. The main goal of that is to cause as much damage as possible. They will try and disable the ship if they can. And that's the main threat to commercial shipping at the moment. The secondary threat to commercial shipping is a narco trafficking, which obviously isn't really prominent in the Indian Ocean and the Persian Gulf, and that's more the South America regions. And that is using UAS to deliver narcotics onto the vessel in various different ways. So the safest areas for the crew to gather in the event of a UAS attack it goes against the primary thinking of piracy drills, where they would go down into the steering gear room or the engine room. You do not want to be below the waterline on a UAS attack. Obviously, if there is a direct strike and the ship starts to take on water, you need to be above the waterline. So the center of the superstructure at the lowest part above the waterline is the safest place for the crew to gather. The short answer for avoidance of a UAS or UAS attack is there isn't anything you can do. Unfortunately, you need to have specific mitigations in place. So you will need a counter drone system or a CUAS system on board, at least a detection level system, so you can see the direction where the threat is coming from and give you enough time or enough warning to gather into a safe place. The only other thing is disabling things like your AIS, which isn't advised, but it's the only way that they can track your vessel. That's kind of there is no specific mitigation. Obviously, the first thing they need to do is shout a warning to the rest of the crew and get the crew to muster in their UAS safe space, which will be the bottom of the superstructure and the center of the superstructure. They obviously then need to report through the normal channels of Channel 16, report to UKMTO, for example, about what they've seen and any obvious telltales that they can give. So whether it is doing laps or loops around them in the sky, if it was coming directly towards them, if it's high altitude, low altitude, and any distinguishing features that they might see on the UAS. Now, that is very hard to ask of the crew, but it's the best thing that they can do is report it as quickly as possible to the relevant authorities in whatever region they're operating in. Hostile intent is, if it is a loitering munition, for example, the odds are where these loitering munitions are operated from, they won't be doing loops in the sky. They will be coming directly towards you at a very high speed. That is kind of the biggest giveaway that is going to be a hostile threat. It'll be coming directly towards you at a low altitude at a very high rate of speed. There is no regular attack pattern per se. They will be targeted before this, and then then the attack will commence. For example, in the Indian Ocean, there are specific vessels from different regions around the world with different flags that will be a higher threat compared to other ones, for example. And they would be pre-targeted already by intelligence from different countries, and that's readily available on the internet. You can find out, obviously, flag states. So they will already be targeted before this. So it's very hard without a proper COAS system to receive early warning. The highest threat area for UAS attack at the moment is in and around the North Indian Ocean, the Persian Gulf, and then through the Red Sea. So that region in general is the highest threat for a loitering munition one-way UAS. Obviously, in the South America regions, the narco threat is very, very large there. They will use different types of UASs. So in the South American regions, they will use multi-rotor and in the Persian Gulf and North Indian Ocean, it will be more fixed wing UAS that we'll use. So those two are pretty much the highest threat areas at the moment. There are many places you can learn about the risks and the possible mitigations. Obviously, a good intelligence report is critical, so you know the region where these UASs are operating from, whether it's private action groups, terror groups, or hostile states. These can be attained through Sedna, UKMTO have their own versions of them. But really, private intelligence is the main driving force behind this at the moment, as nation states have much bigger threats to deal with at the moment. So their priority isn't on the UAS threat and to commercial shipping. So a private company, private security company that specialises in maritime intelligence is where the best place to get your intelligence from. There are countless counter UAS systems in the world. Most of them aren't operationally proven and haven't been tested properly. The ones that have been are astronomically expensive because they're from the defence sector. So the main ones you need to look out for, you need an RF detector, and you also need some sort of camera system to identify the threat. These are attainable through Sedna, through Syops, and a few of the companies do similar systems as well. Outside of that, no commercial ship can have an effector on board.